Hey everybody, what's going on? Alan here. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. A huge thank you for all your support, all the likes, all the comments, all the views, everything. Thank you so much. Keep it up. And I gotta ask too, if you want to continue to help out or help out even more, don't forget to hit that super thanks button down below. Today we're going to be trying to figure out why the battery light is still on my truck, even though I've got a new alternator in. And actually, I didn't have a light on before. I didn't have a bad alternator before. If you've been following along the build on my truck, if you've been following along, you'll know that I've got an aftermarket alternator in here to try to help out with the load that I get from the water pump and the electric fans. Not that it was theoretically necessary, I guess, and even my tester and the AutoZone tester said that the alternator was operating fine under load, but I could tell that when you turn on extra accessories, the alternator would whine and scream, and it just sounded like the alternator wasn't going to last very long, and it was getting worse, right? And the truck was running worse over time. The alternator was sounding worse over time. The truck started running worse right away, right when I installed all this new electrical stuff. It's like at an idle, it just couldn't hang anymore. And I already had an undersized pulley on it to try and help combat the that problem from previous stuff. I've got actually a smaller crank pulley, so I did a smaller pulley there to try to negate the overdrive from the small crank pulley. So my original system, I've got a crude diagram we'll go over in a minute. Actually, let's just go to it now. So bear with me, guys. Okay, so originally you've got a power. When you turn on the key, power goes to the bulb, and this, because it's not spinning, this in my system, it goes to the L, which is in a one-wire system. It takes care of all of these. I'll explain that later. But for some reason, after I changed out the alternator, even though I took that one wire and plugged it back into the L, the bulb is not turning off when the bulb is not turning off when the alternator is producing. It even shows on my gauge that I'm producing 14 point whatever, but the bulb isn't turning off. So according to the Google Webs, the F is actually, if you've got a multi-wire system, the F is actually the one you want the bulb to go to for, that's the one the regulator needs to adjust what it's putting out. And in the L is just like a power wire. You just excite it to let it know that it needs to start producing a charge, and then the charge comes out through the wire, lands on the F, goes into the regulator and tells it, okay, I need to produce more or produce less. Or when there's a load, like when you switch on fans or a water pump, that load will be detected through the F, and the regulator will tell it to produce more or produce less. Now in my system originally, the L took care of all of that, somehow. But maybe I'm thinking that we need to wire these up separately. I think what I'm going to do is just temporarily take a wire from the positive here. Just temporarily take a wire from the positive here and excite it manually. And then take my wire, this bulb wire that's hooked up to the L, and we're gonna switch it and send it over to the F. And we're gonna see what happens if, first of all, if we turn on the key, does the light come on? Because how a bulb works is basically just a controlled short, right? If you take a wrench and you stick it on your battery, the wrench is going to start glowing, right? And that is your, theoretically, it'll get red hot, right? And that's your light bulb. Well, when you do the same thing, and that's why when I tested this wire in other videos, we are getting power all the way through to the end of this wire. We're getting 12 volts or whatever the battery's putting out. But just like any other wire, just because it's exposed from the shielding doesn't mean it's going to glow until you put that positive wire to a ground, which is what it's supposed to. The alternator, this terminal, acts like, when it's not spinning, it acts like a ground, therefore shorting out, making the bulb glow. Now when the engine is running and driving and the alternator starts spinning, it's like it opens up a little gate, and that power is no longer grounded out anymore. It's allowed to flow through with the rest of the charge, and therefore the bulb turns off because there's no resistance. So that's kind of a rough explanation of what I'm going through and what I'm trying to fix. Let me know what you guys think. So that's where we're going to start, is just by running a jump wire to where this is now, the L. And then we're going to take this wire and move it over to the F and see if the bulb still comes on and acts as a ground. See if that F still acts as a ground when the key is just on. And then see when the engine is running if that opens up, like I said, allowing it to go through the system in the, through the rest of the cycle there. And then still, of course, see if we're producing a charge with the jump wire going over here to the L. Unplug it. Let's pull this wire back out. And awesome. And we're going to move that over to the F. Just like that. Now, we're going to go find and we've got this other wire here we'll hook up to the L. And we'll just jump that to this. Okay, so that's now excited. This is now plugged into the bulb. It's like having the key on now, having this plugged in or jumped. It's like having the key on. Let's go see if we turn the key on, if the bulb, if this F still acts like a ground with the key on but not spinning. Okay. Key on. No battery light though. That means that F is not serving as a ground. That's that's not good. That means my idea won't work. Okay, so before I start it with the wires switched, I'm gonna see if I can get a voltage reading on this guy. From the light bulb wire. I do have the L jumped This is the wire that usually or the terminal that wire would usually go to. Before I stick it into the F while it's running, I want to see if I can read a charge coming through this wire. And then we'll hook it up while it's running and, I don't know, see if something blows up. Okay. No battery light because that wire's not grounded. We're reading 10.83. 9. It's changing the more I wiggle it. I think that light bulb is getting warmer and warmer, right? So it's allowing more current to flow through, maybe? I don't know. It does take some current to light up the bulb, so that's probably why we're reading a loss. But as the bulb warms up, now it's going back down. Oh, it's settling. Okay. So now I want to see if I start it, or when I start it, if that reads a charge. 11.5 down there. So we're not far off. We're reading pretty accurately. Just hope nothing falls off. Here we go. Actually, before we do that, let's see what happens. No, we need to plug it in first. Yeah, let's do that. Plug it into the F and see if we can hear a change. No change. And we're not charging though either now. We're not charging. Oh, snap. I lost my exciter wire. Hang on. Let's hook that back up. Well, you know what that means too. My battery light didn't come on with that bulb wire hooked up to the F and the exciter wire not lit, which is actually what I was just trying to figure out. So, switching the wires is not going to work. Okay, switch the battery wire back over to the L. We're charging. And we don't have a battery light. What's going on? Why don't I have a battery light? That's interesting. Okay, let's try some here. Let's turn this off. Oh, I still don't have a bulb. Did I burn out the bulb? Oh, I still don't have a test bulb anymore now. Okay, ground the wire out onto the case. Keys on, I got a battery light. Okay, bulb's working. Let's plug that back into the L here. battery light's off. But I can't reach. Okay. When we start it, whoops. Let's try this again. Key on. No battery light. Usually that should be on, like for testing purposes, until it's running. So I don't know if I just messed something up switching those wires around. But we're charging. And no battery light still. That. This says 14.5, holding pretty steady. So I'm going to trust this honestly over the fluctuating one in the dash. I'm going to keep an eye on this for a minute and see if it fluctuates or whatever. Turn on the water pump and it went down a hair, barely. You can hear the alternator a little bit of whine when there's a load put on it, but it's not like the old one was where it was just annoying. Like it was crazy annoying. Look at the other videos. I have video of it on the past couple videos on this. It is super loud. Let's see what happens if I hook up the field wire. Put power to it. Nothing changes. I wonder if I got a battery light on. No battery light. There's no point in having that hooked up. Well guys, I don't know what I did. I think it's time to contact JS. Thanks for watching guys. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. This is everything on. Headlights. Let me turn on all the inside stuff in.